Hello and welcome. This is the business podcast. We are Amden Group. So I am actually the in-house content creative assistant, and this is the CEO and my boss, Daniel McGivern. Hello, Daniel.
Roles reversed today. I'm getting
Roles
interviewed.
reversed. So actually, I'm going to be interviewing Daniel for a change, which is fun for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, we're going to look at it this way, where if this is your first ever episode that you jumped in on this one for This is the Business, and people are learning something about you for the first time, can you go into a little bit of depth and share about you as Daniel McGivern, CEO of Amden Group, and a little bit about Amden?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is probably something we should have done maybe to start off the series, but yeah,
okay.
It is what it is. So we are now. But yeah, I am, as I said, the CEO and the co-founder of Amden. It's, I suppose, a family-run business. It's myself and my wife, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
We rebranded at the start of the year as Amden Group for varied reasons. One, I just think we needed a bit of a refresh on the brand, and then we actually started to look at the services that we were offering, and we kind of decided, yeah, we need to kind of a little bit of a redirect. My own background is I come from kind of variant management roles, anything from kind of service industry right through to sustainability. I've managed and scaled businesses from kind of startup right through to multi-million Irish owned businesses. That's my background, managing large teams. Looking at the operations side of it, I'm kind of, some people look at it as a negative, but it's certainly not. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of cover a lot of bases.
Yep.
I'm self-taught on most things.
Mm-hmm.
I am dyslexic, but that actually gives me, I think, the ability then to be able to figure stuff out differently than maybe others would. So I love the whole operational workflows. I love operational mapping. I love the creative side of business. I just love business in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what we do as a business. And someone, actually myself and Claire were speaking the other day, and she said, like, looking back now, I was 40 in October, and she was
Congratulations,
saying,
happy birthday.
Yeah, I wear it well. But she was just saying, like, if you were to look back and you were to pick a job, any job, what would you do? And I said, I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love what I do now because I love business. I love fixing problems. I love being able to figure out issues. I love being able to look at the direction that something's going. I love being able to get from A to B and figuring out how it got to A to B, and then can we take out some of the touch points in between all of that. And then I love the creative side of business as well, which maybe a lot of people overlook. There's a huge creative side to the business. So yeah, that's kind of me, the business, and all of my background. So yeah. And I suppose actually to give Claire's background is actually quite interesting as well. She's very high level HR, managing teams. So actually us being able to combine those two sets of skills together is quite powerful.
Yeah. Claire is also very amazing in her area of department.
A Jill of all trades.
She really is. She really is. So I was going to say the first question, because this is the business podcast, we discuss multiple kind of aspects, and now we have somebody here who, like you said, you've overseen so many businesses, corporates, startups, all of this kind of in between. What do you think is the biggest mistake you see new business owners make it in their first year of kind of starting up their business?
Yeah, and it's actually a really interesting question because it has changed actually so much, even in the 3 years that we've been doing this business, but also has changed obviously so much in the last 20 plus years. But the biggest issue I would have said back maybe 3 years ago when we started first was an influx of ideas in people's brains. And what I mean by that is that people get something and it starts to become successful and they're straight on to the next thing and they're not focused. And then all of a sudden they're losing the vision of why they started, and then the vision starts to go, and then the structure starts to go, and then you start to lose control of what you're trying to do. And a lot of the times that can actually cause people to lose focus and actually lose focus on the business, and then they starts to kind of tumble from there. But actually has kind of changed in the last 2 years really. Is this instant success that's portrayed out there on social media. It's just like everyone that starts a business is a success overnight, and
I notice a lot of that myself.
And even for us, like I know when we started first, we obviously weren't that busy when we started first, because you're starting a new business and you're trying to find clients. So I found loads of time to be able to do loads of stuff on social media, but everyone just picked that up as us being really successful.
Yeah.
And then when you go quiet on social media, people think, well, they mustn't be busy anymore.
But sometimes you're very busy while you're not putting up content.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, actually, observation.
And actually more to the point of why you actually joined us was we got really busy this year. I couldn't focus on, I love doing our social media, but I couldn't focus on it. But it is that for me is the one thing that I've definitely seen in the last 2 years. And we've dealt with people and businesses that just think, I'm going to start a business today, and I'm going to be really successful in 2 or 3 months' time. And maybe that will happen. Sometimes it takes
depends maybe 4. How much preparation was done before that, but it's, let's look at it from a point where you're starting there and then.
And I suppose the other thing about that is, which is kind of the sad side to it, is we don't define our own success anymore. So if I sit down and I say, right, well, I'm going to do something, and that if I get to that means I'm successful. Whereas what people are doing now is, I'm going to start something, and when I get to the same as what they've done, that means I'm successful. So you're never actually mapping out your own success. You're basing your success on everyone else around you, or what you see on social media and whatever else. And I always say it to you, and since you started, and we've discussed it a few times for different social media, create your vision. What's your vision? Where do you want to go with the business? What do you want to do with the business?
Yeah.
And even
you asked me that last episode as well.
And it's even sit down and work out, right, year one, we're going to focus on these 2 things or these 3 things or this one thing, whatever else it is. Do have the other secondary offers or the secondary like spin-offs that you might want to do down the line, but define your success on that vision, and then put the structures in place, and then everything else will come from there.
Into it.
And just stop looking at the noise that's out there. Define your own success. Tell yourself what you feel will be successful. That could be you've started a business and you're in a full-time job, and by the end of the year you might be able to quit your job and go in full-time to the business. Or it might be that in 3 years' time I might be able to quit the job and go into the job. Whatever you define as success is your success.
Absolutely.
So that's probably, I don't know if you class that as a mistake, but it's definitely something I can see when you're sitting with people.
I would say it's definitely something that can deter you from progression and the evolution of yourself and the business.
And I think actually if you look at it separately then as well, that's people that are in business that make those mistakes. If you'd ask me, what's the biggest mistake you can make if you're thinking about starting a business, is not doing it.
Yeah.
If you have it in your head that you want to start a business, just do it. You'll find a way of doing it. Just do something. Do anything. Just do something, because there's so many people out there. It's like, for myself, I had this business idea 15 years ago and I did nothing with it. Now, in a roundabout way, I got great experience in that 15 years and probably put me in a better position to do it now.
Transferable skills.
But that I rested on that, and I always come up with an excuse. I always come up with this. I always had this. I always had the other. So if you're thinking about starting a business, just do it. You've nothing to lose, and I know that's easy to say, but starting a business doesn't necessarily mean that you have to give up everything you have, your job, everything else. There's other ways and means around doing these things. So
I agree. I think especially when you're starting out, you might have a small team. It might be just you. I think imposter syndrome can play a huge part in kind of, like you said, the procrastination, the not sort of just going into and doing something where it's not fully up to that standard yet, but you're not going to get up to the standard if you don't go and do it.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that. I would say as well, at what point should businesses kind of seek professional consultancy like ourselves, rather than trying to do everything themselves? What stage do you think businesses should kind of say, hey, I'm looking for support?
If you're constantly working in the business, now there's 2 sides to this. If you're constantly working in the business, regardless of what business it is, if you're constantly working in the business, I think at that stage, obviously funds and everything else comes into this heavily. But if you are spending most of your time working in the business and not on the business, and not how you want to scale the business and what way direction you want to go, and realizing your vision and everything else like that, I think at that stage it's time to say, I need a little bit of help here. Because if I take, just as an example, if I take an electrician, an electrician could be an unbelievable electrician. He could be an unbelievable people manager. He could have managed a large team for another electrical company. and he's thinking to himself, I could actually do this on my own.
Yeah.
And he goes out and he's brilliant at managing people. He's brilliant at being an electrician. But all of a sudden he has to throw into that now. He has to throw in a HR hat, an operational hat, a finance hat, a sales hat, a marketing hat. And you're just thinking to yourself, he could be brilliant at being an electrician, brilliant at managing people, but he doesn't know how to run a business. And that's okay. Some people are afraid to admit that, because I'm really good at what I do, but I don't know how to run this business.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay.
I think
to say
that's the ultimate thing, is to sort of admit to yourself where you actually need help.
Yeah.
I think we're all great at like not asking for help in every aspect of our lives, and sometimes, like you said, it's just taking that step to say, I need.
Yeah, and I do think we would have talked about this quite a bit. We've people coming into us here in the office and they're saying, I need a new website and I need whatever else, and we just get talking to people. I don't want to, whether it be that we build a website or we do a handbook, or Claire does some HR advice or HR contracts, or I build an app for them, or whatever service we're offering to those people. I want to know that business before I deliver that service. And that's not that common in the industries that we work in, because people just see a sale and they say, Grant, he wants a website or he wants a HR contract.
Yeah.
We'll just give him a HR contract and we'll bill him and we'll get money at the end of the month, and it's great. We've actually done ourselves out of sales in the past, where we've had people sitting across from us saying, I need a website and I need some social media. And we get chatting and we have that free consultation that we do. And all of a sudden they've 5 people working for them and there's no handbook or there's no employment contract. Yeah. And you're saying
the compliance side of
you're kind of saying to them, right, okay, you can get a website, whatever, but would you not just put the brakes on for a second and get your house in order? Because when something happens, that's when you'll know you should have had this done. And I think for
it's
people,
very ethical.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the help that people need. I think that's the stuff that people don't realize, and it's only a problem when it's a problem.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure. I agree. Yeah. What do you think separates businesses that service from those that fail within the first 3 years? So the ones that succeed to the ones that fail within the 3 years. What do you think kind of differentiates the two?
Yeah, and I think we're going to get like a jar in the office for putting vision and structure in. Whenever someone says vision and structure, we're going to throw a euro in the jar. But like, that's it for me. It's the businesses that have a clear vision and a clear structure. They're the ones that will succeed. Yeah. It's
simply put.
It's really simply put. Yeah, just simply
keep things
because
simple.
Yeah, because you have someone that's a visionary. A vision without action is just an idea. So you have someone that coming up with visions the whole time, and I've dealt.
And those are great.
Yeah, and I've dealt with people.
I
deal with people, and we have contractors here that we work with with us, and we work with them, and you're constantly saying to them, yeah, no, that's a good idea, but that's the 5th idea you've had this month, and you still haven't actioned the last 4 ideas that you've had. So your
issue is not coming up with ideas; it's the skill set to actualize them.
Yeah, as I said, vision is just an idea.
Yeah.
Without action is just an idea, and then structure without vision is just an action. There's nothing to it. So I think for me, the businesses that have a clear vision and a structure in place, they're the ones that will succeed. And they don't need to be the ones that create that structure. They just need to have the vision. I can't have the vision for you. You have to have your vision yourself. I can help you realize it, but I can help you with the structures.
Yeah, you can help refine possibly the business model. But yeah, no, I agree.
And you go back to when is it okay, or when do you advise people to look for help? If you have a clear vision and you feel you have a business that can be successful and you're just stuck in the mud, that's when you need help.
Reason to say, I know there's something there.
I have
but
something
I can't seem to get it right in certain areas to really make it functional.
Exactly. So.
Interesting. I like that. How do you know when a business is ready to scale, to grow?
Again,
what are the signs?
The signs are like I suppose, and this comes from a place where, I see all this stuff, and I give out about this. Claire reckons I'm turning into a grumpy old man, but there's so much bullshit out there at the minute, and there's literally no other way to describe that other than bullshit. And it's a guy that ran a construction company for the last 10 years and is successful. He now is a business coach. And what qualifications or what reasons has he to be a business coach? And these business coaches are popping up everywhere, and there's just these headlines like 2x your business and 10x your business and do this every day and get up at 5 o'clock. It's just like, oh, structure, that's it. And not only structure for yourself, structure for your business. If you're looking there and you're saying, right, it's time now, I want to scale, and I either want to scale this that I can step away from it and hand it over to the son, the daughter, or I want to scale it and sell it, one or the other. You need to have the structures in place, because if you go to the market to sell your business and someone walks into your business and says, yeah, it's a nice business, I like it. Yeah. What CRM system do you use? What system do you use for recording your reports? What HR system do you use? These are the questions you're going to be asked. And if you don't have that structure in place, then you've devalued your business straight away. And someone is licking their lips going, Grant, absolutely, because that's extra work for them. Yeah. That's extra work for them. Yeah, but they're going, right, but that devalues the business. So I can actually get this really nice business at a little bit lower value. Whereas if you're in the worst end then. Yeah, and if you actually spent the time, and again, this is not a sales pitch to us, but engage with someone like us to come in, put the structures in place, and 3 or 4 years down the line, someone walks into that business and they're like, wow, HR system in place, CRM system in place, operating system in place, everything is sat in place, and it's like, right, that's a really nice business now. Solid business. Yeah. The value of it is more, and you know what? The beauty of all of that is the headaches that you have every day are lessened as well. That is the truth. The headaches that you have within your business at the minute is because you don't have the structures and the systems in place. And I'm not talking about sales systems and social media systems. I'm talking about actual AI, operational apps, systems that can work for your business and work for you, to take work off you, but not only take work off you, but have a clear vision of where the business can go. And you can make proper decisions then based on the information that's in front of you. Yeah, I think you broke it down very well in terms of kind of keep it simple, ask yourself, is all your compliance in place, everything else before, and obviously you guys have dealt with this too, so there is potential for people to look for support from us as well. Absolutely. If you have more questions. What do you think is one common myth about growing a business that you might have seen maybe when you were growing your own business, when you were seeing other people growing their business, and then kind of when you're working with them and noticing things? So like, what do you think is like the myth of seeing that about growing a business? So is there any? Yeah, there's a couple. Like one of the biggest, and people that know me well will know that I hate the saying work smart, not hard. Anyone that says they don't have to work hard to own, run, scale, and grow a business is lying to you, because this is hard work. So it's not true. It mightn't be physically hard. It mightn't be that, depending on what type of work you have. It's mentally tough. This is mentally tough. It's a constant roller coaster. It's a constant, when you work for someone else and you're servicing a contract and that contract goes, well, your job as an employee is just to move off that contract, learn from it if you're a good employee, and move on to the next contract. And your pay comes at the end of the month. But if you're running your own business, everything is taken personally, because it's your business, and you want to deliver the excellence and everything else along with that. And even then, sometimes that might not be why certain things end or part ways. Things end for so many different reasons. So, and you're looking at it's your bank account at the end of every month, and everyone else around you needs to be paid, whether it be suppliers, whether it be staff, whether it be whatever else. Some months are great, some months aren't. Some months you get delayed payments, some months you don't. And it's that constant roller coaster. So I definitely agree with the concept of working smart, but work hard and work smart. You know what I mean? I like that. That should be the new quote. And I think that's when you ask me when you should ask for someone to come into your business and give advice, I think that's the smart thing to do. And I'm talking from experience here, by the way. Like, I'm talking from being pig ignorant over the last 2 first years of business, going, I don't need people to advise me on my business. So that's what I do for my business. And all of a sudden then I was like you said, we can all be quite precious about handing something over to someone else as well, and trust. And I've been quite lucky with the people I suppose the contacts that I have, they're not necessarily customer of ours. Some of them are, but I found great solace in reaching out to them and saying, "Could I meet you tonight for a pint or a coffee or whatever else?" And just like hashing out a couple of things with them. And I found that brilliant. And that's the one thing that will separate you, is bringing someone into your business that understands business and helping you scale your business. That's the one
kind
thing
of
that will
get
set
out
you
of your
apart.
own way. So just kind of your own stubbornness can be the thing that sort of can be like, hey, actually, my business might shut down in 6 months' time because I didn't reach out to somebody to help progress my business, where it could have been salvaged. So that's interesting to say.
And it is funny because, like, when we look back at like this year, and when we decided, myself and Claire decided the rebrand towards the end of last year, and as I said, there was a load of reasons for that. One of the main reasons was we had won a contract with Google, and we were doing a value stream mapping contract with Google, and it was kind of like,
it's great.
Yeah, we're looking at the name and the brand, and we're kind of like, run my business, and it's kind of like, but that's not what we're doing for Google.
For Google, yeah.
And we had a couple of other large contracts as well, for large international companies, and we were kind of saying, but that's not what we're doing anymore. So that's when we had started to think about the change of name. And actually, when you think about it, what we're talking about here, I'm quite precious. I've probably been understating that. I'm very precious about my business. Would I want a company called Run My Business come in to help me run my business?
Yeah, but I think that's a good business acumen, is to try to put the glasses on of trying to look at everything through another person's perspective, of like not pretending that everything you do is amazing, because that's not what good business is, and good business acumen. So
and that again, it is, because sometimes you just have to say, like, Run My Business was a business name I registered 15 years ago, and it was a hard one for me to let go. But it was the right thing to do.
But it was the right thing
to do, because Amden Group, obviously, there's a meaning behind it that maybe people wouldn't be fully aware of. The logo I love, the brand I love, and actually the conversations that we started to have since we made that change has really re-emphasized that it was the right change to make. And I suppose if there's any solace in that for people, is that, like, making those tough decisions sometimes, but they're the right decisions to make. And I don't think I would have been able to make that decision unless I had an ear from someone else, that I was voicing my thing, and Claire obviously as well inputting on that. So yeah, look, it can be tough, but yeah, work smart and hard, because it's hard work.
True. I like the work smart and hard. That's gonna be my new thing. I was like, not that I'm saying I never work hard, I always work hard, but I do agree with like efficiency. Anything that I've noticed, like having worked here as long as I have with you guys, I've grown so much when it comes to my own brain and like how to make things more efficient. So thank you for sharing that. What are the warning signs that you think should be looked out for that a company is growing too quickly? Are there any?
There's a few, and there's actually, we've dealt with businesses and deal with businesses that like growth is one of those things that everyone chases, and if you're not chasing growth, now there is caveats to that as well.
Yeah,
there is caveats to that. There's people that just love being the solopreneur, the man in the van, the lady bitch. They just love doing what they're doing. They don't really want to scale anymore. They just want to get an income coming in, and that's fine. That's okay. But if people are in the industry of trying to scale their business, if you're scaling your business and every time you want to increase revenue, that increases your staff levels. That for me is the biggest warning sign, and you see it everywhere. They don't sit down and say, right, we're at, say, for easy maths, 1 million, and we've 5 people working for us. That doesn't necessarily mean that if you go to 2 million, you have to have 10 people working for you.
Yeah.
But people that haven't got the structures in place, the systems in place, we go back to the proficient, efficient, and sustainable. If they're not making their business efficient, proficient, and sustainable, what they're going to do is every time they get a revenue jump, it's more staff. They get a revenue jump, it's more staff.
It's like a default thing in business a little bit.
So it's, instead of looking at it going, okay, we're at 1 million and we've got 5 people working for us. But if we were to bring in the structures and the systems and make it proficient, efficient, sustainable, well, actually, we could scale to maybe 1.8 million without taking on any more staff. And it's like, actually look at even simple things like looking at people's roles and responsibilities. The amount of businesses that you walk into and there's a lady or a man or whoever that does accounts, and you're saying, oh, that's Peter or Mary or whoever that does accounts. She orders the tea or he orders the tea and coffee. He does the social media. He has access to the emails. She has access to this. So you have one person in your business, and unfortunately it's usually the finance person.
Yeah.
And this will resonate with people. But that one person that has probably the most important department in your business, which is finance, as you're scaling your business. Invoice in, invoice out, money in, money out. Yep. They're now looking after ordering teas and coffees. They're now looking after setting up laptops when someone starts. They're now looking after email addresses when email addresses crash. They're setting up CRM systems for operations teams. And you're saying to yourself, why is the finance person doing that? Not that they're not capable of doing it. That finance person, if you're trying to scale your business, they should be solely focused on the finance part of the business. Reporting on the business, reporting on the margins, the revenue targets, the net margins, the gross margin, everything. That's what their job should be. Not social media, not marketing, not admin, not setting up CRM systems, not setting up whatever else. And the beauty of all of that is, with the services that the likes of ourselves offer, they don't need to do that. You come to us and we'll do all that for you, and we'll walk away, hand it over nicely packaged to you, and you're away yourself. Yeah. So again, advice for people
before you make the jump.
Just chill on the hire.
Pause for a moment.
Yeah, just chill on the hire for the moment.
Reflect.
Yeah, and just look and see, right? And like ideally what you'd love to be able to do is just press the pause button on everything, look at everything and say, right, we're not taking on any new contracts till we get all this sorted. But that's not reality. Business continues on. But if you're looking at your business and your business is solely reliant on 2 pairs of shoes, sitting at a desk that does 80 to 70 to 80% of the important stuff in your business, you've got a problem. You've got a serious problem. Because either that person is not always going to be there, or that person is going to buckle, or that person is going to leave and go to another business. Yeah. And then what do? You panic. Yeah. So look at that now. And I would say to anyone that's watching this that has a business, and if they're trying to scale their business and they've a pair of shoes in the office, that they're the pair of shoes, the pair of shoulders that 80% of the business is reliant on. And they're saying, if that person left, I don't know what we're going to do. That's
not a permanent solution.
That's not sustainable. Yeah. And it's certainly not proficient. No. So look at that. And if that's an issue you have in your business, it's something you need to address. And it's not that person's fault. It's completely the business owner's fault. Yeah. And they just need to look at that. So that would be the one red flag that you're scaling too quickly is that. And the reason that happens, if you break it down simply, is the business starts to scale quite quickly. And we'll just say they tried to bring in a CRM system to match all of them together. And it was just an absolute nightmare. They wasted a year and a half, I think it was €300 a year or €300 a month they were spending on the system, whatever. So we've literally
time and money.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's hard to make €300. I can tell you that as a business owner.
But also to try to make something work, I'm sure a lot of frustration.
Yeah, but that's you have to remember as well, that's €300 a month for the system. That doesn't take into the consideration the amount of time that's spent on the system, time that was spent the finance person trying to set up the system. Oh, wow. So we just came in and stripped it down and said, right, you have 3 individual businesses. We've created workflows and integrations between all systems, and we brought in systems now that actually serve a purpose in their business. Yeah. But they haven't had to change how they operate as a business in regards to like overarching get from A to B. We've taken a huge amount of touch points in it. Yeah. But we've worked with them, listened to
know
them,
what they actually need.
We went away, did the study, came back and said, we think you need this. Like one system, I had 5 different systems mapped out and showed them how we were going to go, which one to pick. And we said, right, we'll go with that one. And that's the one for us. So we've implemented them now, and it's changed our business. It has completely changed the whole outlook of our business.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of, so what you're saying is people don't have issues with operational systems. It's more like the negative connotation of maybe a possible implementation experience that they had with a different kind of, like you said, pitching an operation system. Oh, this will solve all your problems, but no actual review of the business itself. And
I suppose it's like everything else. If you take it like as an analogy of a car and a diesel engine car, there's no point in me going in advising what way the fumes should get to the engine to the exhaust. I don't know mechanics.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're going into a business with people, and you're turning to the finance person, maybe the marketing person that does a little bit of admin, and the operation guy that doesn't have time to brush his teeth because he's out on the road that much. And you're looking at these three people going, is that system the right one for us? They're saying, yeah, I think so.
Sure, go on.
Yeah, so we'll give it a go and see, and we'll waste 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah.
I worked for a business for 7 years, and 2.5 years of working with them was to try and implement a timesheet, clock in and clock out system, large amount of staff.
Yeah.
I left them, and I was speaking to someone after 4 years, and they were still trying to implement.
Wow.
And the problem was, it was the wrong system, and they were trying to bend and break their business to match the system.
So what's the saying? Don't try to put a square peg into a round hole.
And do you know what? Do you know what it all
yeah.
Emulated from? It was payroll deciding on what system. But they were the end of the process. There's a whole recruitment process.
Before getting
There's a whole operational
stage.
process.
Wow.
So you were letting the people at the end of the workflow decide what everyone else was going to do along the project.
Wow.
So that's just an example of, and that can be so easily solved and fixed by just saying, Amden, what do you think? This is what we're thinking. Grant.
I mean, I'd have a resistance to operational systems if I tried implementing one for 4 years myself. You know,
of course you would. Yeah, of course.
Like
you would.
anybody
you
would.
Hive every time you think of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I think the biggest takeaway there is the operational systems aren't the issue. It's be intentional with what your business needs. Is this actually suitable? Maybe bring in somebody, if you don't have the head for it, bring in somebody who will overlook and help you find the right one.
And stop being reactive.
Yeah.
The problem that you have today, and someone
but
said,
reactive is hand in hand intentional.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And someone said to me a couple of years ago, he said, like, if your business is this size and your problems are this size, when your business gets to this size, your problems don't stay here. They grow with you.
They do.
And sometimes they actually they
get bigger.
Yeah, they're bigger. So
yeah,
don't be reactive. The problem that you have now is still going to be a problem in 2 months' time if you just take a breather for a second and say, right, okay, but actually that little bit of pain for a couple of more months could actually solve this, and pick a system that in 6 years' time it's still the same system. It is upgraded, all right, but it's still the same system. You're not going to change and everything.
But that's why I like what you emphasize is that when you're helping people to choose the right system or build the right system, it's not just about where you're at your business. They can help you overview to where that you want to be in 5 years as well, and that system will still suit the growth. So I like that emphasis as well.
And if we go back to vision and structure, have the vision. So your structure should match your vision.
Exactly.
So your vision should be 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. So your systems and your structure should match.
So we have the big frame to try to grow into. I like that. Let's talk a little bit about branding. So obviously branding, I would say social media is a huge part of that for myself. But what's your perspective of how important is consistency in branding? And I'm sure you love consistency in branding.
Yeah.
I would know. I've worked with you for a while now. So what's your take? How important?
Consistency in everything you do. Like I coach kids, my son's team under 14s. And like the biggest message I have for them, we're setting up our tactics board and we're running through it, and you see the little heads looking at you, and some of them are taking it in, some of them might well be talking double Dutch.
Flowing with the fairies.
But the biggest thing I always say to them is just be there.
Just be there.
You know, just when the ball breaks or whatever, just be there. And that's consistency, and that translates into every part of business. But nothing more important is your brand.
Consistency in branding.
Because we're in. I've yet to sit in a room. A couple of times I sat in a room with people that have a truly unique business idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a truly that doesn't exist.
Very niche.
Yeah, very niche. It doesn't exist. So what that means is, and that's okay, that's not a negative, but what that means is you're going into the market with a load of other businesses that are offering something similar to you. So you need to find a differentiating factor. And consistency can be your biggest differentiating factor. And consistency across everything that you do within your business, but your brand, your social media, your marketing, and everything you put out there. As soon as someone sees something that you've posted or a brochure that you've done or anything else, the first thing that should pop into their head is they know your brand is going, oh, that's an Amden brochure, or that's an Amden post, that's an Amden whatever. Because what you sell, we can talk about what
it does show lack of structure. Definitely.
Massively, yeah.
Definitely.
Massively.
Yeah.
And if we talk about what we could talk about what we sell all day, you know what I mean, and how good we are at it, and I'm proud of what we do, and some of the projects that we've worked on, like the likes of KQM, Google Maps, Renmec Mechanical, Platinum Tanks down in Monaghan, started out as a social media support contract. We're now managing their sales team, and we've implemented a whole sales app for them. That's built incredible. From scratch. Yeah. So there's loads of those really, really cool projects that we're working on, the likes of SEQ training, all of this sort of stuff. But the biggest thing, I can talk about that all day. That there is what people see. That's what people talk about. That's what people say about your business. And if your brand is not on point and you're not being consistent with your brand, you're letting yourself down. And it doesn't take a huge amount of input and effort at the start. Again, sales pitch, we do this. So I think it's so important. It's one of the most important things. If you're setting up a business, and I know because I've done it twice now. I've set up a business twice. If you're doing this, do it right. Yeah. This is one of the biggest things you'll ever do in your life. Like, you're potentially putting massive financial strain on you, your family, everyone else around you, for a gain that only you will see the benefits from when you get to that point of success, that's okay. But do it right. Don't do that and not do it right. And that was always the thing. Everything we've ever done, when it was Run My Business and now that it's Amden, everything that we've ever done started with the brand voice, the brand tone, the foundation, the message, everything else. Everything else would build that around that. Yeah. So yeah, consistency around that is so important to me. I'm so passionate about branding. I've never done a marketing degree. I've never done a graphics design degree. I've never done anything like that. It's just the creative side of that. It just makes so much sense to me that should look and feel premium, professional, because that's what we're selling. Yeah. It really gives like the business consultancy professional service. Like the first time I ever looked at the logo, like that was my impression. I love the kind of different color categories of the different departments that we have, and how it kind of sort of connects to all the social media content. It's like a psychological thing with the color theory. I love that. For me, the way I would describe branding, this is my personal little input to what you were saying, but for me, it's kind of like the reception front house of your business, the reception area. And why did I say, like, if you ever applied for a reception role of any form, the person that is at the front of house is the first impression of the business. And if I come to the front and I get a bad impression and I look at them and it's not presented well, and it's not, it didn't give me the right impression, that's your branding, your front of house. If I didn't get that impression, I think, well, then what's going on back there if you can't even get this right? That's the way I would say branding. Yeah, and like for us especially, but I think it's true for any business, but particularly for us, because we're going in to advise people on their business. So like if we're not turning up, suited and booted in a way, your brand being you can't do that for me either. Yeah, it's like I don't want the messy, exactly. Yeah, and it's even stuff. Yeah, even like we discussed our quotes. Like, our quotes take us a little bit of time, but I wouldn't have it any other way, because when you get our quote, when you come into our office and you sit with us, one, we're professional. One, we're really good at what we do. Or two, we're really good at what we do. We're passionate about what we deliver, and we have serious amount of experience and the systems and everything else to match. So when you walk out that door, you've got that impression from us, and you're in good hands. And you've seen the brand, and you're like, yeah, Grant, I can trust you guys. So the next part of that then is you send them over an Excel sheet with a quote on it, and they're going, what's this? This doesn't match anything that they've done. So we actually, everything that we do matches our brand. It takes us a little bit more time, but everything we put across to every one of our customers matches our brand, carries our logos, carries our professionalism, so when you walk out of here, the integrity of it, absolutely. And when you walk out of here and you get that quote from us, it matches the experience that you've had in here, and it matches our brand. Emphasis on, from when I first started working for you guys, you were saying most business comes from referrals that you have already dealt with the clients. So that already shows that retention is there with your clients, and that they trust you enough to point that forward. So whatever you guys are doing obviously is working. Yeah, and it is like, I know this from managing businesses that like new business is hard fought and hard found. Retention of business can be extremely difficult.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think the fact that we're not only retaining business, but we're actually getting referrals from the business that we're retaining speaks absolute volumes. And I like this month has been such an exciting month for us because we obviously got nominated in the AIR Awards, and then we got a silver in that, and then we got a winners in the Innovation and Excellence
LimeWire Corporate Excellence Awards.
Yeah, and then we were obviously nominated for a couple more that will be coming out in the next couple of months. But also then we've landed the biggest contract outside of the Google contract. This is our biggest contract to date, and not only is it our biggest contract to date, it's in an industry that we've never worked with before as Amden in the healthcare, which is unbelievable. And on top of that, 2 of our clients that we've dealt with for a long term have now become, which were smaller clients, have now become 2 of our largest clients.
Wow.
From meetings with them, identifying things over. One was a social media contract that we sat down and met, got talking to them over and back, spotted the little gaps in their workflows and everything else. They're one of our biggest clients now.
But it just shows like you actually gained an opportunity from your own like really good, thorough processes that have in place. So you create an opportunity that extended into a much bigger project and contract for you guys by just being really thorough. So amazing.
And
I love
obviously
that.
then you started in the last month then as well or so. Well, it's more than a month now.
Yeah. Over a month now, you guys. Over a month. Staying here, as I say, staying strong. So I'd like to also ask, how important is, it's funny that this ties in very well with you mentioning that I work here now. How important is company culture to long-term success? I love to hear take on Daniel here, because I do think the culture here is nothing I've ever experienced. So please share, how do you think and why?
In a good way, I
is
assume.
Company. I'll tell you guys after the truth. The importance of company culture. So much has changed in business these days in terms of even like the way companies conduct their meetings, the being more intentional with your meetings, who should be there, who shouldn't be there. Like every aspect of so many things in business is changing, and so is company culture. So absolutely. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Culture kicks the arse out of strategy every day of the week. You can have all the strategies in place, you can have the vision, the strategy. If you do not have a culture in your business, a positive culture in your business, you will fail, and you will fail miserably. And it won't be from your lack of effort or anything else. It will be from people within your business creating that negative culture and just stunting growth. I always use the example, particular people that I would have dealt with over the years. If I was ever short of a problem, I'd pick up the phone and they'd definitely find me a problem. And that has become a massive culture in businesses. But for me, like our values here are empowerment, integrity, and excellence. And it's empowering people to be the best that they can be. To feel wanted, needed, and having the ability and the to deliver their job. Because there's nothing worse than feeling that you're doing a job that you feel you're falling short on. So
as you've told me to own my role.
Own your role. Exactly. Exactly. So but that empowerment works both ways.
It does.
So if we're giving all that back, we need to get it back in spades as well. So integrity is massive, and then excellence, obviously excellent. But the culture in business it's something that's overlooked quite a bit. And I'm doing a project at the minute for one of my clients that we're implementing values, mission statement, vision. We're implementing accountability, new job roles, everything else. And we're trying to change the culture of the business, because if you don't have the right people around you, and you always see it in like mindset coaching, and it's like, your own mindset can be dictated by the company that you hold, as in your friends and your wider. It's the exact same in business. We talked about it just a few minutes ago around branding, and that flies get on the podcast. Branding and consistency and everything else. And when people come in here and they leave, they get that experience or whatever. But if you have people in your business that don't live up to the same, standards and cultural views and ethics in your business,
absolutely,
then this is all great. This is all brilliant. but it doesn't matter then. So
as we said, this is the reception area before you get to the rest of the business.
Exactly,
so like what's happening in behind the scenes,
yeah,
and who's there.
And like I did a video on this, and it actually got quite good traction, and I got actually some really nice messages on the back of it. I think it was about a year or so ago, and we've been unlucky we've been really lucky in most instances, but we've been unlucky over the years that we've had people in our business that just have leached into the culture of the business, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I always find, for me, especially for me, because
sort of polluted everything
else.
Yeah,
and you know what I'm like now. I'm so passionate about what I do. I'm so driven about what I do that if you have people around you, not everyone's going to be happy every hour of the day and whatever.
That's not expected.
But if you have people that are on the same sort of mindset and as you, it makes this all a lot easier. And I mean, you have had chats and you around and someone else can pick you up. That negative day when you look around and that person that's creating that negative culture in your business can bring you down even further and can bring the other person down with you and can bring the other person down with you. And yeah, culture for me is so important in business. So important.
Is there any specific, like, have you, from both the good and the bad that you've experienced over the years from hiring and implementing people into your working culture, is there any specific skills or qualities in a person skills for yourself that you picked up in reading in a person that you think would help of kind of anybody listening into kind of what are their signs, or is that not something you can always spot?
I tell you now, right? People say, go with your gut. You know, you hear go with your gut, right?
So you're saying
I put my mortgage on it that anyone that has ever caused any sort of cultural issues or issues within a business, I had a concern early on, and I would even go back to the interview stage going, I don't know if they're the right fit for us.
So the instinct.
But I need someone, so I'll take them.
So you were like reactive.
Yes.
Back to.
And I think for anyone, experience is experience. There's not like experience just comes with time.
But if they're not suited.
Yeah, skills, education, all of that sort of stuff. A lot of those things can be taught, learned. If someone has the drive to pick stuff up, they'll pick stuff up like that. You can't teach personality. You can't teach someone's work ethic. You can't teach someone's outlook on the way things are. You just that's the personality side of it. If they're not a fit for your business, see the experience and the work ethic and all of this other stuff, and none of it matters then, because they're not the right people for your business.
True.
So yeah, and again, I would go back to that. Like, is there any red flags? Is there anyone that I would look back on now over I'm 40 this year, so I've been in a management role since I'm 20, so 20 years. I can guarantee I had a concern, either an interview or very, very early on, around them fitting into the business.
And that you sensed that, like, instinct.
And anyone that I've ever rushed into taking on, going, they have the experience, they have the CV, take them on, because
it's always a little too good to be true. Then maybe there is something there.
There's something. And look, some people don't. Interviews aren't always people's favorite thing to do either.
No, I get that. And that takes insight to see potential in someone where maybe in the interview wasn't always able to kind of fully see.
And it's something me and Claire have worked really close on, because we've done quite a few interviews this year. And I think you would say that as well, is that it's not a typical interview we do. It's more kind of, we want to find out about you, but I want to know that, like, give me the real you, so that
we know what we're working with.
because I'm talking about from my perspective here as a business owner, but actually from your perspective, it's just as important, if not more important, that you're coming in going, I fit their culture.
And I feel like I can also get a sense, will I fit in here with them as well? And are we going to be button heads? So I agree with you. I think that's really, really good tip.
And I do think, and I think that it is another one as well that I give people advice on. If you've never done interviews, you've never had to hold interviews, or you've never had to give interviews, or you've never done a huge amount of interviews yourself, get someone else to do the interviews for you. Sit in on them.
Someone who's experienced, especially someone like Claire.
Unbelievable. Just get someone to sit in on them, because like the amount of times I've gone to interviews, and I like in the last few months I've sat in on interviews, and they're like, I think we give them the job. And I'm like, no, just relax for a second. Just can we talk it out first?
Yeah.
See what the what the feedback was
Mhm.
and everything. Because again, you just go back. We need 2 feet in the office. We just get 2 their 2
in the
feet.
office,
The
yeah.
suit, get them in. You're like, no, just if we need to call them back for another interview, we can call them back for another interview. Just stall the ball for another week or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my
Thank
piece
you.
of advice.
I really liked that. There was a lot of really good nuggets there. I do agree with you. I think company culture is huge. I think going forward, a lot of companies are now starting to see the importance. And again, back to the word retention and employee retention in this scenario. So
yeah, and I do think you do have to look at it from like this even kind of drills down into more about the culture, because large businesses now have huge budgets for wellness days and gyms and everything else. We don't, as a small business, we have to do what we can to make, but the biggest thing you can do is create a culture that people actually enjoy working for and respect you and respect the business and actually if you're standing in Navan Shopping Centre and someone says, do you know anyone that does X? I say, oh, I work with a great company that does that. That's the culture that you need to build.
I agree. And for me, if I was working in a toxic environment and we did have weekends here and there of wellness or something, but then I'm going back to that toxic culture, I feel like that would defeat the purpose of me wanting to be there.
Pizzas on a Friday, like that doesn't solve the fact that, so.
No, thank you. No, thank you. But no, thank you for sharing so much insight. That was really, 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 really good. Thank you. We're on to our last couple of questions. What should a business owner measure in terms of kind of success every month? Like, what should we be looking for that things are going well, things are going in the favors? Like, what should we look for?
Again, if we go back to kind of what we talked about at the start, I'd answer that by saying define your own success.
Yeah.
Like define what's success to you. Now that's a bit airy-fairy in a sense, but at the same time, if you don't know what you made last month, and I'm not talking about I billed 20,000 and I got in 20,000. That's not what you made as a business. Your expenses, your salaries, whatever else came out of that. Like that's the core one for me, because at the end of the day, and I know people are looking at this and go, well, yeah, okay. A lot of people, most businesses actually don't do this. And I'm not talking about most businesses, a man in a van or a woman behind a woman in a van or whatever. I'm talking about like businesses that are 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 million turnover plus are not measuring their margins and their revenue every month.
Okay.
Businesses don't know what they're making, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it's, and if you think about it, I always use that analogy. Like you would never get into the car in the morning, not knowing where you're going, not knowing how much petrol you have and how long it's going to take you to get wherever you're going. You would never do that. But people are doing that in businesses all the time. And if you're not measuring, you can't manage. So like, look at what's coming in, look at what's going out, look at what you're making. The contract that you're doing, and again, this will resonate with so many people. The contract that you're doing, that you're concerned about whether you're making money on or not, but you spend 80% of your time talking about, you're not making any money.
No.
So make a decision and move on from it and go, I know, but it's X amount per month. Yeah, but it's X amount per month taking up 80% of your time. Just get rid of it and you'll flourish from there. And I know that's easier said than done.
I know, yeah.
And we've had
especially
to do that.
Early stages when
we've had to do that over the last 6 months. We've had to look at things and say, we're not making money on it. Yeah, when you look at it, we're making money. But actually, when you break down the time and effort and everything else, we're not actually making money on it. So measuring what's coming into the business. The true
cost of something. I like that.
Yeah. Measuring what's coming into the business. And then the next one for me would be measuring the activity within your business. And I don't mean micromanaging people or anything else like that, but it's...
Daniel certainly doesn't micromanage.
No, and I don't. I genuinely really don't. But
no.
For me, I need to know, I've done the job that you've come in to do for us. So I have a fair understanding. You've actually taken on a lot more than I did in that role, in fairness to you. But I've a bit of an understanding around, what's involved in it and everything else. But if I didn't know that role and someone came to me as a business owner and said, we need to bring in a marketing person.
You wouldn't have any idea if that's...
I wouldn't have any idea. But the first thing I would do is, I need to map out what that person's going to do.
Yeah.
What am I going to make from that person coming into the business? And not all about money either, but what's the problem that person's going to solve? What's their Monday to Friday going to look like? What's their KPIs? What are they going to deliver on? Then we go, okay, then we need someone. But what's happening at the minute is they're not looking at the revenue. They've got busier because they're saying, we've got more money in, so we need more people in. But then the people, we don't know what they're
so it ties
doing.
in
We
very
don't know
well
what
with
their
the
role
kind of
is.
scaling element.
So it's kind of just firing everything in, and then all of a sudden people sometimes forget as well. You get the contract, the big contract lands, and they're all rubbing your hands, and we say we need to take on 2 people. But the big contract lands, you don't get paid tomorrow. You raise an invoice at the end of the month most times, and you don't get paid for 30 days. So that's 60 days that you have to cover someone's salaries or someone's salaries until you get paid. So those sort of things, they're the things that people, you need to, if you're a business owner or a senior manager or general manager or whatever else in a business, that, like, if you don't have the answer to those questions, like if you're listening to this podcast and you don't have the answer to those questions, stop what you're doing now and come up with a way to get those answers. And again, reach out to us and we can definitely give a hand.
Thank you. We're down to the last 2 questions. Can you share a business that you feel like completely transformed since started working with you guys, Amden Group? And how did they transform? Is there an example you can give me?
Yeah, I think I'd probably be unfair to maybe
picking just one.
Yeah, I think I genuinely think, because like I look at, like, there's one guy I always just fixate on when we have these sorts of conversations. And my son Caden is 17, he's 18 in November, he wants to be an electrician, and obviously you have these concerns and worries about your kids going out into the big bad world. But as soon as he said electrician to me, like KQM, Martin Garrity, I was like, he needs to work for him. So for context, Martin Garrity is one of our clients. We've implemented a whole operating app for him, how they do the safety paperwork, how they do their timesheets, how they capture information on site, how they get sign-offs, everything. Their whole workflow is built through this app. We built him a website, we did other bits and pieces with him as well. But he's one that, I don't know if I'd necessarily say that we've changed his business as a sense, but we've definitely contributed to him being able to scale his business to a level without the headaches of that, you know, of being along that journey and then bringing more people into the business. And look, his facts and figures are his own, but from the amount of people he had working with him at the time when we would have started to the amount of people he has now, it's mental. But his back office hasn't like busted at the seams. He's able to manage that in the background. Now, am I going to take all the credit for that, or us taking? No, absolutely. He is an absolute master of what he does.
Within the company here, we're our emphasis on like team effort. So we understand things are a team effort.
Yeah, and himself and Michelle, like, you know, their business is a credit to the two of them, and they're great people. My son wouldn't be, and obviously Martin has taken him on, but I wouldn't put my son with just anyone.
Yeah,
they're just unbelievable business people. They're unbelievably nice people as well. But then you even go back down to like Fionn, he did one of these episodes recently. Woodfield, like his whole business was fixated on getting the 1s and 2s bookings, the lad and the 3 lads booking in for their sauna. Over time, just talking to him, his whole business model has changed. And even look at his social media and his marketing, how much that has
shifted
changed
in a completely different direction.
And I always use I said it to him on that podcast. I remember walking into his office down in Laois, and it was like these 6 calendars on the wall. And I was looking at these calendars, and I was like, what's the story with the calendars? Like big A3 calendars. I was like, what's the story with the calendars? He says, Leo had given him a coach that he had to work with. And the coach had advised him to map out his next 6 years in calendar format. I said, you don't know what you're doing next week. Never mind next 6 years.
Yeah.
And he was like,
let's focus on next week.
So we've said, like, let's focus on now. Let's focus on 6 months. Let's focus on a year. Let's focus on 2 years. 3, 4, 5 years can be a document to say that's where we're going to go, and you just review it every time.
And things might change
Shift
so
and
much
change,
that calendar won't even apply anymore. And
but he was wrecking his head, going, "I don't know what I'm going to be doing in January, in 6 years' time." So the next time I went down to him, all the calendars were gone. There was one calendar up. He had his business plan there. So even stuff like that. But yeah, there's other people like the SEQ group, Richard from SEQ and Declan from SEQ. Like, we're making massive changes in their business, but they're extremely receptive to it. They've obviously engaged us.
That's a good point to make. I think if you're going to sort of reach out for support, be open to hearing the support? What is, you know, the back and forth? You need to be kind of mentally prepared to hear maybe sometimes things you don't want to hear, and you've experienced that yourself.
100%. And it's
as you grew.
One of the biggest mistakes we made early on in the business is identifying people that need help but don't necessarily want it. They've come to us, but you know that they're not going to be receptive to the change.
So the cost not outweighing the relationship.
Like, I know I need it, but I don't really. You're kind of just going, look, when you're ready, come back to us. But I know I'm a great man for sayings, but like, advice is requested, not volunteered. But you can't get annoyed with me when I give you the advice that you've asked me for. Yeah, because it's my advice or my opinion. That's what we do. So that's what we do. So yeah, I
like that. Our final question: what do you think your most successful clients have in common? Is there a kind of model that you kind of looked at and you're like, the consistency? I think it kind of sums up well what everything we've discussed there, kind of leading into now, but anything you can add, let's say the clients, your most successful clients have in common, what would you say out of looking at all of them?
I actually think, and we've covered it quite a bit, but I'd actually say that the biggest things they have in common is they know their strengths and their weaknesses. Yeah, you know, they're able to identify, look, I'm really good at this and this. I'm not so good at this, and I need a little bit of help with that. That's okay.
I'm open to learning, or I need support.
Yeah. Consistency is the other thing. Everyone that we work with that is successful, and I go back again, and he's not paying me, he's not a sponsor. Martin Garrity from KQM, he's consistent, he's professional, he turns up every day, he's there, like he has
a good attitude.
He works hard, like he works hard,
smart and hard now.
Smart and hard. Like, I'm dropping Caden at 6 a.m. I'm heading to the office, Martin's already in the office. You know, he's ringing me 5:30 in the evening, he's on the way home. Like, he works hard, but he is consistent, turns up, shows up, and consistent in everything he does. Like, whenever we're doing anything, and again, it comes back to that whole thing of whenever we did anything for, say, Martin and KQM, Shane and Renmec, John from Robotic Lawnmowers, Fionn in Woodfield, SEQ, Platinum Tanks, they're so particular about what it is they have. They're so precious about it. And that there for me is like, that's kind of like they're owning what they have. It's their baby. It's their everything, and they're working towards that.
I think
you know what I'm like. This is
exactly. I think you have the same mentality when you go in, that you're like, I'm able to relate and kind of navigate that as you build that trust together, potentially. But I think everything tied in really well with everything we discussed into now. So many different things were mentioned there. You know, kind of getting out of your own way, imposter syndrome, asking for help when you need it, you know, just being honest with the process. Are you open to receiving feedback? So many different things are there that are kind of stripped down back to personal development. And then how that extends into your business going forward. So thank you so much for talking to me today. And it was nice to interview Daniel for a change. So thank you for listening to This is the podcast, episode 7. With myself, Agla, this time. Next time will be Danny back in the seat interviewing one of our guests.
To fill the next time.
But thank you, Daniel, for sitting down with us. And until next time.
And just to finish it off, I suppose, just reach out. Just pick up the phone. Drop an email. Pick up the phone. There's nothing. Doesn't cost anything to have a chat.
You've got nothing to lose. And all everything to gain.
There you go.